Hey everyone, welcome back to Folklore. It's been a while since we last had any plot, so to recap, Keats came to the underwater city looking for Dr. Lester, who was recently murdered. But along the way he got kinda distracted because Herve was going to throw himself into Oblivion and erase himself from everyone's memories. So we have to go defeat Brigantia to put a stop to that. And between us and our goal is a room full of Anwen. That's it. Just Anwen. We can take these guys out pretty quickly with a nice wide area attack. And frankly, between having Agar to keep my HP up and knowing that there's going to be a large life drop before I go fight the boss, I don't even really need the Transcension that I saved up. There's not much challenge here, which is kind of disappointing. I'm used to the penultimate rooms being long and difficult fights, tons of enemies. Well, I guess the first one was just a whole bunch of Kilmulas. Actually, it was Puka for Keats and Kilmulas for Ellen. Orcadia was tough. This, just a couple of crystals. And the one that was there the whole time is the picture book page. So let's see what we're going to have to do against Brigantia. Alright, we'll use Auguski to freeze its tail. Chop it apart with Ogma, that's new. We haven't really had to use the slash element much. And then freeze it with either of our flying dragons and blast it out of the sky with Gargantua. Pretty simple. I think even I can remember that much. So, first couple of folks we're going to need... There we go. And as I think about it, I should keep Agar available. So Brigantia is some kind of big sea serpent, which immediately leaves the room. Fortunately, the walls are open here, so you can see Brigantia swimming through the background and figure out where it's going to come in. Avoid the mines that it drops, and with good timing you can actually hit it with the ice as it's coming out of the hole. It's not exactly easy, but that's pretty much what you gotta do. I think Auguski is the only folk that's really going to be effective in this phase. It's got the upward shot with its ice. And only the last segment of its tail is going to remain frozen, so we'll cut it off. Ogma's nice and powerful by this point, so it doesn't take much. And I guess it gets stunned when I destroy one of the segments, which gives me a bit of time to get in the attacks that I need. Once my MC recovers. And there we go, that's 3/4 of its tail already gone. But it puts the spin on me and manages to avoid my next attack, so you gotta wait for it to come around again. I think this has some of the hallmarks of, say, the Omega Ridley fight from Metroid Prime 3. The thing where he just kind of swoops into the room for a little bit, and then out again, and you've got very little time to attack in the meantime. And it might just be that I actually took the time to build up, particularly Auguski. The fight probably takes a lot longer if you haven't done so. By which I mean I actually went through and did this fight a second time just to see what would happen if I had gone to the Forgotten Palace instead of the Swamp of Oblivion. didn't take the time to build up my folks, and pretty much took something like 20 minutes just for this fight. As it is, once you've gotten rid of its entire tail, the head just kind of goes bonkers. But once you've frozen it, it's time to take it down with a destroy element attack. You suggest Gargantua? I suppose it's probably the best choice at this point. I mean, there's other attacks I've got that will hit it as it's that close to the ground. It's tough to hit when it's moving around like that. You really got to take it on from a distance, which I think makes Kraken by far the best choice. And it doesn't look frozen, but I can still damage it. I don't know whether it actually has to be frozen in order for my destroy attack elements to work. But I don't suppose it's actually going to stop spinning all that much unless I do freeze it. And there we go, I froze it enough until its id pops out. It's difficult to balance though. I'm not really getting all that much done. But it switches over to beat, and once you get into your stride, you can do a lot of damage in this phase. This is pretty much where you're going to wear down most of the boss's health, or all of it. And that quickly, we're done. Oh, I didn't even realize where I was. I'm back at the final save point. Yeah, I'm doing that. Let's see what these other guys have to say now that I've defeated Brigantia. Alright, I don't know what all of it means, but basically, we need to go back to Doolin and find the will that Dr. Lester told us about. And for some reason, Herve was very interested in Ellen. Now, as it turns out, if we had gone to the Forgotten Palace, then we wouldn't have met Dr. Lester, and it would have been Herve who told us both to protect Ellen and that Dr. Lester had a will. He doesn't say where the will is, but Keats still decides to go to the church anyway. So I really don't know where that information comes from. Of course, before we go anywhere near the church, we're going to go see what everybody else's take is on recent events. Yes, she does, but you're the one who keeps bringing her up. Seems like you really believe in her, O'Connell. Although he may not believe that she's actually a fairy tale. Well, that's a new bit of information. The same woman 17 years ago and today. Or at least that's the suspicion. Okay, that's not really fair. We have gone and talked to Dr. Lester as best we could. Now he's dead, and you still won't talk. It's possible I could find her if I searched, but I don't think she's gonna be anywhere, and I don't really want to put in the time to look. I'll tell you the truth, I'm kinda heartbroken. It's really sad. Well, that's everybody. Except Mrs. Lester, if she turns up. And I think the only other place that she could be is at the church. So maybe she's out in the cemetery? Seems a bit early, though. I don't think they've buried Dr. Lester yet, so we won't have a gravestone. And why is it unlocked? So many mysteries unresolved, so many new questions, and not even an answer to the one we brought up in the previous chapter. But that ends this chapter, and so we have to ask, are we going to continue our investigation as Keats and try to figure out what Dr. Lester's secret really was? Or should we go back to chapter 3 and see what Ellen did? Where she came up with those mementos that she had? Where she was when Dr. Lester was killed? And what she found at the Forgotten Palace? So let me know what you think in the thread, and I'll see you next time.